They buried me in the water and I came, I knew. Ha ha. Now I'm baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. See, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue.
What's up, sheepdog? Welcome to the Changing the Culture podcast. That was my boy at One Time Music. Go look him up on all the socials, Instagram. You can go find all of his music. That song is called Baptized in Blue. You're going to be able to listen to that at the end of this podcast episode. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I hope you enjoy One Time's music. He's a fellow police officer. He's the man. I love this guy. Go listen to his shit. So the other day, something that I don't do a whole lot is I don't watch a lot of Netflix. I don't watch a lot of TV. That's something I just don't really do a whole lot of. But if you know anything about me and you've been around me for just a minute, then you know that I have a fucking obsession with watching documentaries of successful people or mind expanding content. Okay. So it's very difficult for me to sit down and binge. Like, everybody loved Ozarks. My husband is addicted. Yes. People love Ozarks. Not me. That caused me to have a panic attack. And I was like, I can't even deal with this. The cartel's coming after me. Like, I'm stressed out. I'm done. Like, I just couldn't do it. There's definitely been a few different shows that I've really loved. Heart of Dixie is one of them. It's dumb, but I fell right in love with like Wade and like, but that's very few and far between for me. The recent one that I watched that has really changed me, and I finished it today, and that's been the docuseries of Michael Jordan. And if you don't know who Michael Jordan is, and I don't even know where you live, but obviously, the best basketball player to ever live. And I think why I just want to talk about this, and I want to share my thoughts, is because I really learned a lot. And because when I sit down and watch these documentaries, I'm trying to get into this person's head. Like, I'm in their head. I want to know why. What makes the person the best in the world? What makes him, and what keeps him there, and what sets him apart from everybody else? And it's really something that I've always wondered with certain people, and documentaries and docuseries allow us to get up close and personal, right? Another documentary series that I just actually watched that I really enjoyed it's called Cheer. And I don't know if anybody's watched it, but it was really good because it really taught you a lot about the sport cheering instead of just being cheerleading, rah, rah, we're here to support, the football team. It was actually very competition based, and these are athletes, and it was all about the top cheerleading school actually in the country and all this stuff. And you got to get to know these people. But again, you get to see these people who are just amazing. I mean, they're young college kids, but they're at the top of their game. And there's one, her first name is Gabby. Can't remember her last name. She's got over 1 million followers on social media. When she was making this documentary, like, she was like essentially famous, okay, going to college, being this cheerleader and gymnast and this coach and this person. And then like the docuseries like shows her for who she is, right? And like you kind of see her struggles, and you get to see her be a human. But again, my mind goes to, how does the person like this get to be the best? How did they get to be this leader, this influencer, this very, very, very successful people, while others kind of fall behind? Why is that? Why was Michael Jordan the absolute best? And like, let's say, Kobe Bryant, he was amazing. And a lot of people said he was going to be the next Michael Jordan, but I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of speculation that MJ is still he's in his own league. And I believe that, I have to say, like, especially after watching that docuseries, and I'm a huge Kobe fan. But so I want to talk to you about this because I don't know if people think, like, I don't know if enough people are thinking about this shit. I think we get so caught up in our own life and our own bullshit that I love taking a moment to be like, I want to reflect. because I really believe this is what helps us to expand and grow. If we're constantly in our bullshit and we don't ask these deep ass questions, how do we grow? We're not going to grow. We're not going to expand. Okay. We're going to stay where we are. We are not going to be the best. We're not going to be really, really, really good. We're going to be mediocre unless we start asking these questions. And if you've been around me for a minute, you know that I hate mediocrity. I actually have my own podcast episode talking about that. I've posted about it. If I don't like mediocrity, I prefer to be around people who want to rise up. I know that my people, my mastermind who's listening to this live, they are those kind of people. They are not mediocre people. And so we need to have these kinds of conversations. The conversation that I want to have tonight is I want to reflect. I want to talk about this. If you haven't watched that docuseries, I want you to go watch it. I'm telling you. And if you feel like you don't have time to watch the 10 episodes, just go to the last one. I mean, that breaks my heart to even say that because the whole series is just absolutely amazing. But the last one was so cool because you got to see MJ, you got to hear people talk about why he was the best, right? And you got to really see a lot about him. And a couple of things I want to talk about and I want to highlight is he wasn't the best because he would outwork anybody. Because you have to know, and I know of a lot of people who work really hard. They're not the best. They may not be super rich either. You know what I mean? They're hard workers, and we can all say that about them, but not necessarily the best in the world, not necessarily the top of their game, right? They're just a hard worker. So, so then it's like, well, why else? Like, what's his unique combination? And I want to tell you what I've picked up. I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but I'm going to tell you my interpretation. I believe the formula for this kind of success is it is hard work. It's hard work. Obviously, this guy, he played basketball from sun up, sun down for years. Okay. Focus. How hard is it for us to focus nowadays? We are like, all right, I'm going to go fucking conquer the world. And then what do? Get on the phone, scroll, fucking, oh, this guy's an asshole. Oh, I don't agree with that politician. Oh, the president, this senator, I'm pissed right off now. And then it's like, well, where'd your focus go? You were just hyper-focused a second ago. Where did it go? Oh, no, now I'm pissed. Now I can't even think straight, right? Because we get so emotional. Obviously in Michael's time, he didn't have social media, right? But I'm sure there was a ton of other things that could have caught his attention off guard, but he became very hyper-focused. And when you become focused like that, the universe is going to respond to you. So laws of attraction, it's going to happen. It can't not happen, okay? So we have hard work, we have focus. And then we have this thing called, you got to line up with who you really are. You got to be so self-aware with who you are that you're not trying to be anybody else. This guy was not trying to be anybody other than who he was. And I'm going to tell you that in a day like today, where we have all these social media influencers and we've got all these people that we can just readily look at our phone and we can look at 24/7, 365. It is so easy for us to lose who we are. I'm going to be honest with you, super vulnerable moment. I've done it over and over and over again. I've completely lost who I am over and over and over. I go, you know what? I want to be like them. I want to be like her. I want to be like him. And so what do? I start kind of role modeling and like modeling them, not role modeling, modeling them. And in that time, I lose who I am and I get disconnected from my truth. Now, it doesn't mean I've ever been inauthentic at all. It just means that I got disconnected from my, like who I really, why I'm here, my purpose, why the universe, why God put me here. Right? And what my gifts naturally are. Jordan, he just knew what his gifts were and he went all fucking in. Then he went and he played baseball for the White Sox, like not the major league, but the minor league right under them. He went and did that for a couple of years. And then he was like, shit, I'm not a baseball player. Guess I'm going to get back to what I really am good at. Right? And he's really, the best basketball player. He became self-aware enough to know who he was and he went all in on it. And I think I want to talk about it. I want you to think about it. I want you to reflect on it. This time with me in this podcast, this is really about reflection. I don't really expect anybody to say a whole lot because I'm going to be honest with you. I just finished that docuseries this morning and I haven't stopped thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about it. I haven't stopped watching videos about, what makes Michael's mindset what it is, because it honestly fascinates me. I don't think it's an anomaly. I really think he just had it figured out. I think that we should learn from people like him and the people that are the best in the world at what they do. My mastermind, we read 50 Cent's book, right? And a book that a lot of them were like, oh, am I not gonna lie? Like, I don't think I would have read that, like, without you, like, suggesting it. But we learned a lot about 50. 50 came from nothing. He came from absolutely nothing. Jordan didn't come from anything. You know, there was nobody ahead of them. You know, I mean, there's obviously like different like athletes and shit, but I mean, there was nobody in their family like, here's what you're doing, right? And what they, you know, and they, what was the formula? 50's formula was the same as Michael's. He knew who he was. He wasn't trying to be anything other than what he was, right? And he was hyper focused. Remember, 50 Cent would talk about in his book how he was so focused, he was not drinking and smoking and getting high and partying when all of his buddies were. He wasn't. He put ginger ale in his own freaking like champagne that's his. He would give it to everybody else, pour their glasses, and then he'd tell his buddy, go fill it up with ginger ale. And so while everybody thought 50 was getting, you know, drunk and drinking with his own champagne, he wasn't. He was focused. He knew. And he talks about that. You have to be focused. You have to know who you are. You can't go and try to be everybody else. And I just want to say this, especially, you know, for first responders, because what do? We get in the job and we find a role model and we're like, that's it. I'm going to be just like Johnny. I'm going to be just like him, you know, and he's successful. He's officer of the year. He's sergeant, lieutenant, blah, blah. Like he's who he is. And I'm going to be just like that. And so what do? We try to, instead of going all in on who we are, right? What do? We mimic that. We mimic them. Then we get disconnected. And then we want to know why we're miserable. The moment you start getting disconnected from who you are and here, you're miserable. Things start getting super fucking hard. Maybe you can relate to that. Maybe you can think of some times when you kind of got off your path and things just seemed so hard. It was like no money. Nothing was working out. Maybe like no overtime. Maybe you couldn't get a job. Maybe you and your spouse were like, you guys weren't getting along, your family, your friends. Just everything felt so hard. Okay. It's because you got disconnected from who you are. You know, and the next thing I just want to say, my reflection with Michael is that he was present. At the end of this docuseries, this is so important. At the end of this docuseries, they said this guy who wrote a book, which obviously I'm going to read, about Michael. He said that Michael was a lot of things and he was great, but he said what made Michael so great and made him a standout compared to everybody else was how present in the moment he was. Michael was never ever an hour, 2 hours, a day. He was never thinking about that. He was never in the past beating himself up about shit that happened. He was always in the moment. And he gave his all the time, all day, every day, in every moment. This guy just showed up. He just showed the fuck up. And the guy was like, nobody was as present as him. Right? Like, so when you watch him in the docuseries and he's like he's dealing with people, he's all in with those people. He's all in with the moment and the people around him. On the court, he's all in there. That's it. There's nothing else. Okay. And so how can you apply that to your life? That's my question for you. And that's what I want you to think about. Some deep ass shit here. You didn't think we were going this deep, but we're deep. Okay. Because I can't stop thinking about it. And so when I can't stop thinking about something, I always know I have to talk about it. Gotta get this off my chest. I need to talk to somebody. I need somebody to listen to this. Because I just feel like for my own life, I want to figure out this. I want to know that I'm on my own path, and I want to know that I am true to myself 100%. I believe God, the universe put us here, and we all have reasons. We all have reasons that we're here. Can you imagine living a life of complete pain and agony, misery and frustration because you're simply not living your truth? I don't want to live like that. That's not my style. And if you're around me, you don't want to live like that either. These are the questions that you have to ask yourself. These are the questions that nobody's asking themselves either. Okay. How many people do you know walk around and have these kinds of conversations. Not a whole lot of people are having these kinds of conversations. Have them. Look in the mirror, reflect. Ask yourself the questions that I went through. Go watch that docuseries with Michael. Ask yourself the most important question out of all of this is, how self-aware are you? If every day you wake up and you hate waking up and going to work, well, I got to tell you something's off. If every single day you wake up and you're not happy to see your spouse, I got to tell you something's off, right? You've got to deal with that shit. So many people go like this. Oh, I'm okay. Everything's okay. I'm just going to slide it over here. Oh, everything really is okay. Well, yeah, me and my husband, we don't get along that great, but everything else is great. Or, yeah, I don't love my job, but it pays the bills. If you don't absolutely love what you're doing, I'm telling you right now, you need to transition out of it. Doesn't mean you got to stop and quit. I cannot understand how we have grown into a society where we are not doing what we absolutely love every single day, because that's why you are here. You're not here to work. You're here to live, and you're here to be who you are, and you're here to give to the universe, give to the world, the way that the universe intended. And that's just the way that I see it. So I'm going to end this with, I want you to go. I want you to listen to that docuseries. I'd love feedback. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'd love to hear if you're as inspired as I am. I'd love to hear if anybody else is obsessed, as obsessed as I am with getting to know and learning about successful people. Successful people, what makes them tick, what makes them so successful, and what makes them the best in the world. I want to know. It's an obsession of mine, and it's something that I just love to do. So I want you to ponder that, watch the docuseries, get back to me, and if you enjoyed this podcast, share it out. Thanks, Sheepdog Nation.
They buried me in the water and I came, I knew. Ha ha. Now I'm baptized in blue. I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, never winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. They buried me in the water in the Holy Ghost. I came out with a badge and gun and a heart that said never run. I signed up for a job you wouldn't dare to do. This ain't no green screen movie, don't compare the two. We look at your actions in the elements and everything relevant. If they line up, prepare to pay the consequence. You do dirt, you get cuffed, snow bluff. It's ignorant to think we will shoot with your hands up if you the police. You feel the world is against you, like every call you go to, people trying to tempt you. Well, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary. I ride on the devil, I ain't scary, and I ain't worried. You want my life, come take it, it's gonna be a fight. I take you to the light, like Will and Bright. I wouldn't expect you to understand what I do, only the thin blue line, cause they baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, never winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I can't explain the pain when I see a name on the wall. All I feel is rage, put me in a cage, let me brawl. Sometimes I can't help but cry, like why did he die? I know it was him, but it could have been I. What about the kids? What about the spouse? Yeah, now who gon' put food inside them babies' mouth? It's a bigger picture when the officer down. Domino effect, Blue Nation, family, country, and town. The media don't cover us. Well, maybe Fox, cause MSNBC and CNN surely don't care about cops. Politicians more concerned about protecting the legal instead of laying the law down and protecting the people. Let me get off my soapbox before I curse. I don't seen way too many cops riding in hearse. Well, I wouldn't expect you to understand what I do, only the thin blue line, cause they baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. baptized in blue. If I'm faced with a mission, I'm gonna complete it. If that means being deleted, I live with the credence. I do this for the combat vets and Leos. When I'm suited, ready to go, it's either friend or foe. Only Lord knows what my future's in store. I only kill with the hope to see more, so God don't close that door. If I take a life, it's him or me, with the hopes to survive, not bigotry. I go in situations that you cannot imagine, deal with things that you cannot fathom. Know it, but I'd rather fight for a cause than live for nothing. So when you read my headstone, you know I died for something. You hypersensitive, she complain by justified force. You blame the cops first, that don't work, you blame the courts. But I wouldn't expect you to understand what I do, only the thin blue line, cause they baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit, I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, never winner, never quit, I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty, I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in